Riders of the Internet, and welcome to this video where I am driving an AMC. As you'll see, it's very spinny on the wheels, or tyres should that be, because old cars like this, they often had great engines and the suspension wasn't even too bad in certain cases, such as this car. Admittedly one of the better handling muscle cars, but the tyres just weren't there at the time to put the power down effectively. So I had the idea that if I changed the tyres to standard street tyres, perhaps they could compete with more modern vehicles from the 2000s or 2010s. I did this with a Jaguar Mark II before, just for playing around with, and it did grip a lot better, so on this point you'll see the results of my experimentation. Now here we have a Chevrolet Chevelle. It is actually the Horizon edition, but I reset it to as close to default as I could get, and then I just put street tyres on, so it's basically a default Chevelle with street tyres. And I'm comparing it to a completely stock Nissan Fairlady Z from 2003. Not the most modern car, admittedly, but it was the closest I could find at a similar performance points rate. Nissan does sound fairly good as well. It's more of a muscle car, I would say, than other Japanese sports cars, hence why it's a decent vehicle to use. There's modern Camaros and things, but they just don't fit in the same way compared to this. They have much wider tyres and better suspension, so it's not fair to even get close to comparing them. The engines as well on those things are complete monsters. Even if they're not as powerful, they just have better technology behind them. Now, we are seeing actually the Chevelle builds speed around corners, and the suspension is very lovely over these bumps. It just absorbs them all. The joys of an old car, although it's not sport suspension, there's no denying sport suspension would be nice. More of an issue with this particular car though, as you'll probably see coming up to here, I think we're in 4th gear already, and it does top out at about 140 miles per hour, whereas the Nissan keeps going. So surprisingly enough, the Nissan, despite being significantly less powerful, is the car that has the edge on power and the edge on speed. And you should be able to hear that big Chevrolet engine now. I believe it's 7 litres or something stupid, so pretty big, it has to be said. I just prefer the Chevrolet, but if you do dare change a transmission to one that can handle the speed this car is capable of, then we do see the problem, because the performance points do jump up. I'll have to do some more experimentation, say comparing a light resto mod of a car like this to a modern sports car, but for the time being, we are seeing we're able to extract surprising performance. Even though it still struggles, we're seeing we're already ahead of the Fairlady Z just because we're able to use the power effectively. And the Nissan just can't compete with that brutal muscle car power from this engine. Even if it is old technology, it just doesn't matter. The Chevrolet is pushing ahead anyway. And we'll see on this straight, this is where the transmission limits really begin to show. I'm already in the red, and it's not quite at the top speed it can reach. Going a bit wide there, but nothing really to concern myself over. It just struggles, and you'll see the Nissan, it just keeps going, whereas this is stuck around 133 miles per hour. Not a lot for a 450 horsepower car by any means, but we'll see. It's a clear win there to the Chevrolet, so it was a success, I would say. Now here we have a very different set of cars in both different ways to the previous two, and different in terms of driveline, but they're the closest I could find. They actually have the same performance points. Other cars available around these points were just so different. For example, I believe the GMC Cyclone pickup truck was around here, but that's got all-wheel drive, it's got a turbocharged V6, it's just not the same. These two vehicles, I believe, are both two-wheel drive and 4-cylinder cars, so it was suitable to compare them, I think. Now, there's no denying the Alpine is a beautiful handling car with the upgraded tyres. I'll get that out of the way now. But I don't think the power's there. Believe me, if I had to choose, I would take the Alpine any day. The interior is just much nicer, whereas a Vauxhall is just a standard Corsa interior, because it's a good car in terms of pace, but you're just looking at a Vauxhall Corsa. You're not looking at a nicely built sports car here. As far as sound goes though, as it's about to switch over now, the Vauxhall and the Alpine, they both sound pretty good. It's just a shame the Vauxhall isn't more fun, because if it was, it would have the fun to keep up with the speed. Although having fun, I guess, isn't quick, because that's the way it worked out. The Corsa was quicker, although the Alpine is a car I would take with its just lovely grippy rear engine handling. The Vauxhall is the one that came out ahead. And again, I'll let you hear the Alpine briefly now. Hopefully you can hear it. It's just a funny old engine in a nice car. It just all comes together so nicely here. The Corsa, as good as it is, it's to that point. You've made the perfect hot hatchback, but it's just not, because it's not a car you want to drive, quick as it might be. And as I've said, it does win. I even gave the Alpine another one to just see if it was me not pushing it properly. It feels like a car you can really push the Alpine, and that's what I love. You're just tempted to constantly push it, and the suspension doesn't feel all jelly like it does with the Chevelle. It's no doubt softer than the Corsa, but it just isn't a really wibbly wobbly barge suspension. So round a track, or round a street course, I guess you could call this, you really do feel the difference. And I can't emphasise enough how much more I prefer to drive the Alpine, and how boring the Vauxhall was in comparison. Now, moving on to the next car, or set of cars should I say, or the clip, what I have left of the clip should I say, because I don't know what happened with my Xbox, but the clip just didn't record properly. I did manage to record it though and match them up, so you'll see here, we have two completely different vehicles, but I decided both of them were as close as I could get, again, because the E-Type is a handling orientated sports car, as is the Honda S2000. They're just made with different eras of technology for different markets, hence why I've put them together. Now, there's no doubt the mod cars are cheaper. If you're looking for a way to save money, unless you've won the classic like I did with the Chevelle Horizon Edition, there's just no way they're going to compete in terms of price. And they always tend to be Japanese cars I'm comparing against, other than the case of the Corsa, but the rear-wheel drive ones always tend to be Japanese. I don't know why, but that's the way things have worked out. I'm not complaining, it's just something I noticed. And I would prefer the S2000 in this case. Probably the only case I would say I'd take the modern car, but it's just nice, and I love the VTEC sound of it. As we wait for it to switch now. And here you'll hopefully hear the E-Type just started roaring, because the E-Type is much more of a growly engine, whereas the Honda's more of a precise Japanese engine. Again, they're different cars, but there's no denying, as far as outright sports cars, or kind of heavier, more performance-orientated cars, modern cars just undeniably win. There's no doubt about that. Especially when we're talking about the levels of precision here that are involved with, I guess, either car. The S2000's just got that technology on its side to help it take corners at better speeds. Now, moving on, we have the finishing times there. Yeah, the E-Type is beautiful, undeniably so. I still prefer the Honda though. Here we have an interesting one. We have a Chrysler Charger with the inline 6 here, and the Lexus is 350 with the V6. I decided to do this final one because I thought both being inline 6s of 6-cylinder engines, and but this being a lighter car, it may be able to make up the speed round corners, but it didn't. The car here just felt too sloppy. Not the Lexus. Lexus just feels like it lacked rear end grip oddly, and here you'll see it. Here you'll see where the Lexus really gains on it. There's just the outright grip at the front, and that really helps. If anything, I went away from this feeling the Lexus could be excellent with nicer tyres than it's got. Admittedly, we're not going to be track tyres on this since it is just a normal Lexus. And the muscle car, it just felt like it lacks turning, and there's nothing you can do about that directly tyre related. The Lexus is just a nicer setup car, there's no way of getting around it. And the muscle car is well a muscle car. Probably much nicer suspension on the road, although I say that, the Lexuses aren't exactly known for being harsh, firmly sprung nightmare machines. They should be pretty usable on the road as well, so the Lexus is gonna take the win here, I guess. Although I prefer classics naturally, the Lexus just can't be denied. It's a better car in terms of the specific performance. The V6 sounds nice as well. We have some very nice sounding engines here. Every car here sounds kind of nice. I can't get the modern cars that don't for some reason. I don't know, maybe that's for the next video. But anyway, we are going to see here. The Lexus's turning just ultimately wins it the race. If the Chrysler had more turning, it would have perhaps been able to win. It won't help that it's a Chrysler, thus more of a luxury end vehicle than a speed vehicle, but it was a Dodge Dart. It just seemed that was too much of a drag orientated vehicle, and I didn't want to use it because of that, because it probably wouldn't take corners that well. It had wider rear tyres and everything, which on a car of this era was very rare, unless you were trying to extract the very best drag times from a vehicle. Now, we're coming up to the finish line, and we'll just see. That one corner near the start was what pushed the Lexus ahead and kept it ahead, I would say, until the finish line. And although a fairly close race, it's undeniable the Lexus is quicker. So, in conclusion, we have our Hudson Hornet, or as close as we could get to one, and here you'll see the wheel use for the suspension. They're not designed for track use, so that's why they just bobble about a bit. But anyway, until next time, I'll say goodbye until I'm ready.